All right, welcome into episode 15 of Glory, Glory, and Roll Tide. DJ, funny enough, I said the other day I had no idea what we were going to talk about today, and I still don't, but I did leave it with maybe Lane will give us something to talk about. And I don't know if you saw, but he is sending a peace offering to Ole Miss. He even included like a little dove in his tweet to them. And I think he said, "Go win it all," because
Interesting.
he's sending like the entire, not the entire coaching staff, but Charlie Weiss Jr., tight end coach Joe Cox, wide receiver coach George McDonald, assistant quarterback coach Dane Stephen, and slot wide receiver coach Sawyer Jordan all returned to Oxford on Monday.
hmm
Funny enough, is it seems like a peace offering, but it also seems like Lane being like, "Hey, like I get paid if they win it all, so like help me go get paid."
That and
It's not a peace offering.
I don't know. That seems. How do you think those guys were received when they walked back in?
I I don't know. From what I could gather, and from what I could gather from like Ole Miss people, like Ole Miss reporters, I think those guys are put in a tough spot
hmm
to where they were forced to be put on the plane despite what Lane said. And I think it's easier to forgive your position coach than it is the head guy, because everything that I could gather from Ole Miss media is some guys, the only time they talked to Lane was on their visit, and they didn't talk to Lane any other time other than that, which is kind of wild when you think about it, especially when you see a picture of Kirby going to a presentation of a player like last night or 2 nights ago. Like just a different dynamic of,
Culture difference.
yeah, there's a big culture difference. One has a standard of accountability, even for their head coach. The other one tells everybody to stay in their lane except one
hmm
individual. And it's so funny looking at the comments or the responses to that, because a lot of them are Ole Miss fans telling him to uh, have fun with himself. Uh, they were very adamant that they don't care for him anymore. Speaking of culture differences, I did say I wanted to bring this up, and I don't know how long we'll actually go into this. I stood up for Notre Dame the other day because I thought that they should get in. I thought what had been done to them was wrong.
Yeah, I think we both agreed on that.
But I also think what they decided to do immediately after finding out that they weren't in the playoff was also wrong. I am of the opinion you went to school to Notre Dame to play football. This is an opportunity to still play football. Go play football. Don't just quit. Like, don't be my 3 year old and just quit because you're mad about something.
Well, I mean, I think it shows like maybe the maybe not culture, but mentality of the program as a whole. Where well, I guess that would blend into culture, but where they're there because they have to be, and not because they want to be. They're there because they want to go to the next level, and that's it. And just I don't know, the school pride's not really a thing in my opinion in college athletics anymore. It's for the main portion of players probably, but why would you not want to go play one last game with everybody?
That's what I didn't understand either, because I've been trying to hear all different sides of this, because I wanted, my mind had pretty much made up. My mind was like, you go play football because that's the opportunity you have. But I finally turned on the Dan Patrick show today where their AD was on there, and he said something along the lines to the effect that him and Marcus met with the captains, and the captains said something along the lines of, we're such a tight group that we just don't want to do it again. And I was confused by that, because if you're a tight group,
Wouldn't you
then
want
why,
to?
right, would you want to go play? It made zero sense to me. And I think of this as a former college athlete as myself. Again, I did not play high level sports. I played Division 3, but it's still at the end of the day, like I am, how old am I? I am 33 years old and I still enjoy to compete. I play in a rec basketball league and I am not good at basketball. My last time I played basketball was 8th grade. Like organized basketball was 8th grade. I love to go out there because I love to compete. I like playing against people. I like remaining active. I still play slow pitch softball to this day because I enjoy. That was baseball was a sport I played growing up. I enjoy playing sports, and I get frustrated because now, especially on the softball field, like now the level of the teammates that I'm playing with, like just don't get it, and that bothers me because they don't understand how to play the game. So why wouldn't you want to play one more game with people that know how to play the game? Especially because it's not like there's rec tackle football leagues that you can go play. Especially because if you do decide to, if you are lucky enough to, I don't even say lucky enough, you don't get to go to the NFL, but you go play in the AFL because you want to keep playing. That's not going to compare to the experience that you're going to get putting on the Notre Dame uniform all the time.
No, for sure. And like obviously, Jeremiah Love, no chance he was putting on a Notre Dame uniform for anything other than a playoff game. But I don't know. It's weird to me. It's a culture thing. You know, Georgia was in a similar situation a few years ago where, um, what were we ranked, like 2 or 1, and we lost by 3 points, and we dropped spots and out of the playoffs for some reason. Um, so they still showed up, and a bunch of people got mad at me the day of the game because we beat the crap out of Florida State. Um, and they said, "Oh well, Florida State's JV team was there. Don't care.
It doesn't matter.
Show up. Like it's a bowl game. It's the Orange Bowl. It used to mean something like outside of a playoff game. And you know when Georgia's backups were in the game, we still scored 28 points. So it doesn't matter. Um, I don't know. It's weird how there's been a lot of people talk about how conference championships don't mean anything anymore. Don't know who they're talking to because down here it means a lot. It's really important who wins that SEC championship. So um, I don't know. It's sad that bowl games are looked at as that, but I'm also on the side of the fence that bowl games should have been done away with 100 years ago, and we wouldn't have this problem.
Well, you talking about the Orange Bowl meaning something. I remember when Carolina made the Orange Bowl during the COVID year,
Mm-hmm.
and they had two players opt out. It's like, what are you talking? Like, you were North Carolina. When do you ever play in the Orange Bowl? And now you're wanting to opt out because this game doesn't mean anything. You got a chance to go play against number 5 Texas A&M and like see how you compare, and you just don't want to do it.
Mm-hmm. And you would think schools are like, one, the money, two, like still an important brand thing.
And I didn't understand it. You know, you said Georgia was in it, and I think the only one that you can say sat out was Bowers, but that's because he was still battling an injury. He didn't even
Right.
play in
And
the
I
SEC
don't,
championship, did he?
I was about to say, I think he might have. I was about to say Ladd didn't, but I think Ladd threw a touchdown pass in that game. So, um, like
If
the
if
main guys for Georgia were playing in that game. Stetson
right,
Bennett played. Brock had an
no,
injury.
that was Beck.
I was back. That's right.
Yeah,
It's been a long day.
but yeah, I think Bowers was the only one that sat out. But that's because if he did play in the SEC championship, he was not even 50%, and so it was just like, no, dude, like he's still hurt. There's no point in hurting yourself even further at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Like he had given everything he had, understandable why he didn't want to play or why he sat out. But then what it was, I guess it was the year before that when, that everybody's like, Saban was lobbying for like the Vegas odds. Well, I think Saban was wrong. I would have loved for Bama to get in the playoff that year. So, Bama didn't belong in the playoff that year. They had lost to Tennessee and LSU, didn't play for their conference title. Like to me, they didn't have a justifiable reason that year for getting into the playoffs. But Bryce Young still played against Kansas State. Will Anderson still played against Kansas State. I think Jameer Gibbs, who was a transfer, it was a 1-year rental, still played against Kansas State. And last year, you know, Bama was on the outside looking in. They were the first team out. Milrow could have left. He still played. Jeremy Bernard could have left. He still played. The only one that didn't play that was significant on offense that I can recall was Justice Haynes, but that's because he decided to transfer like 2 weeks before.
And that's that's a huge culture win in itself for Kalen DeBoer, where everyone's still going to show up.
Right. And so I don't understand quitting because that's what they did. They just quit. And then they're trying to say, well, we're doing this because like we're not gonna let you make money off of us. But you weren't even one of the highest TV ratings teams in the country. Like I think the only one where theirs was in the top 20 was when they played Miami on Labor Day.
Right. And
It's
that
like,
was
well,
because it was like
the
the only
only
game on
game
TV.
on TV. And so it's just like, what are we talking? Well, and then the other one I want to bring up was Coach O's. It was Joe Burrow's first year at LSU. LSU had wide receivers playing corner against UCF, either because of opt outs or injuries, but they still had like 39 guys that was like, no, we want to go play. And they had a lot of guys playing out of position, and they still beat Josh Heupel's UCF team. Speaking of which, message boards were mad that Josh Heupel, his Mizzou teams, gave up a lot of points, and that's why he got fired. Uh, and this is a Tennessee message board. And for those that aren't aware, Josh Heupel was the offensive coordinator at Mizzou prior to UCF, so he didn't really have a whole lot of say in the defense.
I'm all for Tennessee fire and Heupel. All for it. Do it. Please send your team back to the Stone Ages.
I know people are dumb. People want to do it. They did just hire Jim Knowles to be their defensive coordinator. They did that about like 20 minutes ago. I think Matt Campbell said Jim kick rocks, and 5 minutes later, Jim Knowles is getting introduced as the coordinator for Tennessee. I don't really know what else there really is to talk about because I want to kind of save the playoff talk until next week when there's actually bleeding into the playoff. But I do want to. People are giving Ty Simpson a lot of crap, and I'm not saying he's been playing perfect because he is not. Greg McElroy went on a full-on rant yesterday on Mac and Cube, defending him at the same time calling out where he was struggling. But I just want to challenge folks that whether it's Ty Simpson, whether it's Gunnar Stockton, whether it's I don't know, name a quarterback of your favorite team. Grab you or get access to the all 22 from behind the center, so you're basically got the same vantage point of what you would if you were playing the PlayStation. And I want you to try to figure out where the ball should go on pass plays in real time in that
Mm-hmm.
real speed because I was doing that yesterday because I'm a dork and I just like to do that when I come across stuff like that on Twitter. And because some guy had posted all of Bama's third and fourth down plays against Georgia in the SEC championship. And then a couple of the pass plays, I was like, that one, that one, that one. And they were all the same reads that Simpson made if he didn't get hit. Uh, but then there was one read, I was like doing my scans and I was like, all right, that one. And it got picked. So I made the same read that Ty Simpson did, and I was trying to figure out when you look at a steal, you're like, why is he trying to fit it in there? But when you're doing it in real time, you understand playing quarterback's hard.
Just a little bit. That's why they're all multimillionaires.
Oh, speaking of quarterback though, do you want to go on your full Diego Heisman campaign right here? Did you see what Vandy tweeted about his stats since November 1st compared to Fernando Mendoza's? He has obviously one fewer game. His completion percentage is 4.5 points higher. He's thrown for over 400, close to 450 more yards. Uh, Yards per game is like 260 yards better. He's thrown for 3 more touchdowns, and his quarterback rating is about 21 points higher than Fernando Mendoza's.
I mean, if the people voting on this, you said it's Friday, right? The
It's the
Heisman's done.
13th, so Saturday. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if they're honest with themselves, Diego Pavia is going to win the Heisman.
The problem is the honest thing that you just said, and I say that because I think when you were out, I was trying to make it I was defending Ryan Grubb for in his receivers because of Roma Dunze had like far more catches, far more yards, and one less touchdown than Marvin Harrison Jr., but Marvin Harrison Jr. won the Blitnikoff. Um,
So it's, I mean, I can't sit there and be like, oh, they're just looking at a logo with Vanderbilt. Indiana's biggest loser of all time. So you're sitting there. It's two logos that are not pretty in college football.
No.
And those two guys are the ones that are going to win the Heisman. One of them will. So I wouldn't be shocked if they gave it to Fernando just because they won their championship. And they're the one seed and they're undefeated. Stat wise, Diego should win it.
Yeah, did Jeremiah Love even finish? This is me being ignorant. Did, like, he finished with the most yards?
I tell you.
Jeremiah Love had 1,300 yards. He finished fourth with total rush yards in the country. Ahmad Hardy from Mizzou actually had more. Kewan Lacey had just like 100 less than Jeremiah Love, and Kewan Lacey was really good for Ole Miss this year. And he was far more consistent than Ahmad Hardy. If Ahmad Hardy didn't have a couple like 50-yard games mixed in, I think one was against Bama, one was against Auburn, then you could almost consider he was running back wise a better candidate for the Heisman than Jeremiah Love was. And even with those couple 500 or 50-yard games, he still finished with nearly 200 more yards more than Jeremiah Love. That's not to take anything away from Jeremiah Love. Jeremiah Love's a really good back. Ahmad Hardy and Kewan Lacey had to do it against consistently tougher competition.
What? The SEC having not get to play Army and Navy and
I think it's so funny when Notre Dame fans are like, Notre Dame had to play Navy. What do you mean had to play
I don't
Navy?
understand that because of a historical rivalry you guys made up in the
They try to tell you that they try to tell you
1910.
there was a guy trying to tell Greg McElroy. He's like a Notre Dame insider. And he was trying to tell Greg McElroy that Navy was better than Auburn.
What's he
And
on? Like, what are
and
Notre Dame people on?
and McElroy was like, "You're telling me from a player profile that Navy is better than Auburn." He's like, "They're a better team." And I understand what he's trying to do with that argument. I've played some teams that were not very good that could win. I've also played teams that were not very good but had a bunch of dudes, and if they wanted to, they could beat anybody they played by 100. So it's just one of those. It's like, and again, we've given Auburn more praise, and thankfully it wasn't recorded. Auburn's not bad. Auburn's pretty good, and I think if Auburn and Navy played right now, actually, let's see what Massey would say. Massey's matchup tool: Navy versus Auburn says that the most likely score would be Auburn 27, Navy 17. We've got Auburn as a 10-point favorite.
Kind of a close game.
Kind of, yeah. The median score is actually 30-17. Um, Massey gives Auburn an 80% chance at winning. So do with that what you will. We do really good numbers when we mention Notre Dame on social media, so I'll make sure to put that one on there. Like all of
We
our
we just need to be a Notre Dame podcast. That's what we need to
at this point, yeah,
do.
because they're
They
gonna
like us for some reason.
they're gonna be like Notre Dame lives in y'all's head. No, us talking about Notre Dame lives in y'all's head, and it really bothers y'all.
I mean, I don't understand the historic rivalry with Navy. I didn't know that the Navy didn't like the Catholics or something, and that's why they have to play every year. Just
Navy doesn't like the Catholics.
that's what Notre Dame people would have you think. Um, I have no idea. Makes no sense.
Catholics form a significant part of the U.S. Navy, according to the Google's AI overview.
See that?
I don't really have anything else. It's weird because it feels like it shouldn't be a slow week, but I think because of the playoff starting next week, it kind of is. Do you see anything about Utah being the equity deal? I'm not smart enough to really go into full detail on it.
I have no idea. I deleted Twitter off my phone, so I haven't been very up to date with news coming out.
That's probably for the best because I'm not smart enough to make a comment on it because I've heard both sides of how it could be good, how it could be bad. My first impression was that it was bad, but I don't
I've
know.
saw some video about it, how they're financing their debt or something. But yeah, beats me. Only thing I know out of Utah is crumble cookies. The reason BYU kept their coach, so
which is hilarious,
it's awesome.
which is so funny. I actually remember that reminds me I need to explain that one to my wife because when that came up on was that SEC Shorts?
I think so, yeah. Where he had the crumble shirt on
Yeah,
behind
he
him.
had the Crumble shirt on. Yeah, I need to. I was. I make my wife watch all the SEC short and roll call videos every week, and so I had to pause it there, and I was like, "You get that?" She's like, "No." I was like, "All right, I got to explain it to you," and then I never did. For those of you that don't know, basically, Crumble, the CEO who funds BYU's NIL, basically made sure that Sataki didn't leave for Penn State, and then sent a package of crumble cookies to the Penn State athletic department. And then to make it even, and then to even make it even better, James Franklin posted a picture of crumble cookies on his desk on recruiting day.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, and he was like, and somebody asked him about it. He's like, no, I don't. He's like, I just really like crumble cookies.
I bet he does.
Yeah, sure you do, bud. All right, cool. Yeah, we'll get more into the playoff next week. I want to see if Bama heals up. I think we're going to do a draft of teams that we're going to, I don't know, put our bragging rights on as to whether or not they'll win the national championship. So I think we can have some fun with it next week while also previewing some games. But we will see y'all on Tuesday. Roll Tide.
Go Dogs.